The story began on a brisk December morning at New York's JFK International Airport. The terminal hummed with activity as travelers shuffled through the bustling crowds, eager to board their flights. Among the throng was Barron Trump, the youngest son of former President Donald Trump. At just 18, Barron had grown into a tall, composed young man, known to those close to him for his quiet confidence and sharp intellect. Dressed casually in a hoodie and jeans, he seemed to blend into the crowd, though the occasional double-take hinted at his familiar face. Before we start, smash the like and subscribe buttons for more updates. Barron was traveling alone that day, bound for Los Angeles to attend a tech conference. His passion for technology and innovation had blossomed in recent years, and he was keen to carve a path independent of his family's political legacy. With a first-class ticket in hand, he patiently waited for the boarding announcement, his backpack slung casually over one shoulder. As the airline attendant began calling first-class passengers, Barron stepped forward, his long stride carrying him past rows of people standing in line. Just as he reached the gate, a sharp voice cut through the air. "Excuse me!" a woman exclaimed, her tone laced with indignation. "Where do you think you're going?" Barron turned to see a woman in her 40s, impeccably dressed in a tailored blazer and designer scarf, glaring at him. Her arms were crossed, and her face was set in a look of disbelief. "This line is for first-class passengers," she added, her voice dripping with condescension. "I know," Barron replied calmly, his voice steady but polite. He held up his boarding pass as proof. The woman scoffed, her eyes narrowing as she scrutinized him. "You? In first class?" she said with a laugh that lacked any warmth. "You must be mistaken. People like you don't belong up here." Barron raised an eyebrow, unfazed by her assumption. "I assure you I'm in the right place," he said, his tone even. But the woman wasn't convinced. She leaned closer as if to challenge him further, her words escalating in both volume and derision. "Listen, kid," she said, her voice carrying across the boarding area. "First class isn't for freeloaders or anyone trying to sneak in. Security will be happy to escort you back to where you belong." A few heads turned, curious about the commotion, while others averted their gaze, unwilling to get involved. Barron's calm demeanor remained unshaken, though the situation had clearly caught him off guard. At that moment, the gate attendant intervened, sensing the tension. "Is there a problem here?" she asked, glancing between the woman and Barron. "This boy is trying to board first class without a proper ticket," the woman declared, her voice carrying a note of triumph as though she'd uncovered some great scandal. The gate attendant looked at Barron, who handed her his boarding pass without hesitation. She scanned it and nodded. "This is a valid first-class ticket," she confirmed, her tone professional but slightly bemused by the misunderstanding. The woman's face turned red as a murmur of whispers spread among the onlookers. "Well, I just thought," she stammered, her earlier bravado crumbling. "He doesn't look like he belongs in first class, that's all." Barron, now slightly amused, tilted his head and looked at her. "And what exactly does someone who belongs in first class look like?" he asked, his question delivered with a subtle, pointed curiosity. The woman opened her mouth as if to respond, but found herself at a loss for words. The gate attendant, eager to defuse the situation, gestured toward the jet bridge. "Mr. Trump, you're welcome to board now," she said. At the mention of his name, the woman's eyes widened in shock. "Trump?" she repeated, her voice barely above a whisper. The realization hit her like a thunderclap. She had just publicly berated the son of one of the most recognizable figures in the world. Barron nodded, a hint of a smile playing on his lips. "Yes, Barron Trump," he said, his tone measured and polite. "I appreciate your concern about my travel accommodations, but I think I'll manage." The woman's face turned an even deeper shade of crimson as she stammered an apology, her earlier confidence replaced by awkward remorse. "I'm so sorry," she said quickly. I didn't know who you were." Barron held up a hand, stopping her mid-sentence. "It's not about who I am," he said, his voice firm but not unkind. "It's about how you treat people regardless of who they are." With that, he turned and walked down the jet bridge, leaving the woman standing there, her mouth agape and her ego deflated. The onlookers, who had watched the exchange with a mix of curiosity and discomfort, quietly returned to their own boarding routines, though a few exchanged knowing glances. Once on the plane, Barron settled into his seat, pulling out a tablet to review some notes for the conference. The incident lingered in his mind only briefly. He had more important things to focus on. The woman, however, spent the remainder of her flight in coach, replaying the moment in her head and grappling with a newfound sense of embarrassment. By the time the plane landed in Los Angeles, the story of the encounter had already begun to circulate among passengers. It wasn't long before it made its way onto social media, where opinions varied widely. Some praised Barron's composure and his pointed remark about respect, while others criticized the woman for her behavior. For Barron, the episode served as a small but poignant reminder of the assumptions people often make and the importance of rising above them. It was a lesson he had learned early in life, growing up in the public eye and navigating the unique challenges that came with his family's prominence. As he left the airport and stepped into the California sunshine, Barron felt a renewed sense of determination. He was here to make a difference, not to dwell on the small-mindedness of others. The woman, meanwhile, spent the rest of her day reflecting on what had transpired, perhaps rethinking the way she viewed the world and the people in it. Barron Trump stepped out of the terminal and into the Los Angeles air, the mild winter sun casting long shadows across the pavement. His SUV waited at the curb, sent by the event organizers. The sleek black vehicle stood as an unassuming symbol of his preference for functionality over flair, a sentiment he carried into his burgeoning interests in artificial intelligence and sustainable tech. Sliding into the back seat, he exchanged polite words with the driver, then opened his laptop to review the agenda for the tech conference. The event, a prestigious gathering of thought leaders, innovators, and entrepreneurs, was to be held at a sprawling venue downtown. Barron's invitation had not been extended because of his family's name, though it was a factor some critics might point to. His place at the table was earned through months of rigorous work. He had recently partnered with a startup that developed cutting-edge algorithms for renewable energy optimization, and his insights into the intersection of tech and environmental sustainability had turned heads in the industry. As the car wove through LA traffic, Barron's mind wandered briefly to the encounter at the airport. It was a minor blip in his day, but it symbolized a broader issue he often observed: snap judgments and the casual disregard some people had for basic decency. It wasn't lost on him how easily the situation could have escalated had he not remained calm. His upbringing in the spotlight had taught him the value of restraint and the importance of choosing one's words carefully. Arriving at the venue, Barron was greeted warmly by a young woman in a conference polo. She introduced herself as Megan and handed him his credentials. "It's an honor to have you here, Mr. Trump," she said, leading him inside. Barron thanked her, but his eyes were already scanning the room, taking in the layout, the clusters of people engaged in animated conversation, and the sleek displays of futuristic technology. During a break, he wandered into the networking lounge, where an array of professionals mingled over coffee and finger foods. Barron's height made him easy to spot, and it wasn't long before someone approached him. "You're Barron Trump, right?" the man said, extending a hand. He was in his mid-30s, wearing a tailored suit with the understated confidence of someone used to high-stakes negotiations. "Elliot Grant. I'm with Innovate Green Labs. We've been following your work on decentralized grid systems." Barron shook his hand, offering a polite smile. "Thanks, Elliot. I've read about Innovate Green's work with solar microgrids. Impressive stuff." The conversation flowed easily, delving into the intricacies of energy storage solutions and the challenges of scaling such technologies in underdeveloped regions. Unlike many people who approached him with ulterior motives or political undertones, Elliot was straightforward and genuine, focused solely on their shared interest in tech. By the end of the conversation, they'd exchanged contact information and tentative plans for a follow-up meeting. It was a small but meaningful connection, the kind that fueled Barron's belief in collaboration over competition. Later that evening, the conference hosted a gala dinner, transforming the space into a glittering sea of lights and elegant decor. Barron had dressed appropriately for the occasion, trading his casual hoodie for a tailored suit. He made his way to his assigned table, where he found himself seated with a diverse group of individuals, including a robotics engineer from Japan, a blockchain expert from Germany, and a Hollywood producer interested in tech's role in storytelling. As the courses were served, the conversation ebbed and flowed, touching on topics as varied as AI-generated art and the ethics of deepfakes. Barron listened intently, offering occasional insights when the subject turned to renewable energy. His reserved demeanor intrigued some at the table, who were more accustomed to larger-than-life personalities dominating such discussions. It wasn't until dessert was served, a delicate tiramisu topped with edible gold, that Barron's quiet confidence drew direct attention. The robotics engineer, a woman named Kaori, turned to him and asked, "What drives you to work in technology? You could have chosen any path, but you seem deeply committed to this." Barron took a moment before answering, his blue eyes thoughtful. "I think technology is the most powerful tool we have for solving global challenges," he said. "But it's not just about the tools themselves. It's about how we use them. I've seen how innovation can transform lives, but I've also seen the risks when it's misused. I want to be part of the group that ensures tech serves humanity, not the other way around." His words resonated with the table, sparking a deeper discussion about the responsibility of technologists. By the time the evening wound down, Barron had gained not only professional connections but also a sense of camaraderie with like-minded individuals from around the world. The next day's sessions were equally intense. Barron attended workshops on quantum computing and participated in a breakout discussion about AI's potential to combat climate change. Though the days were long, he thrived on the intellectual stimulation and the opportunity to contribute meaningfully to the discourse. Meanwhile, back in New York, the airport incident was still making waves on social media. A passenger who had witnessed the confrontation had recorded part of it and uploaded it online. The video quickly went viral, with countless comments debating everything from the woman's behavior to Barron's composed response. The clip caught the attention of several news outlets, which led to a flurry of op-eds and think pieces. Some writers praised Barron for handling the situation with grace, using it as an example of why humility and respect mattered in everyday interactions. Others criticized the woman's actions as emblematic of a larger societal issue, prejudice based on appearance, age, or preconceived notions. Barron was informed of the video's spread by a friend who texted him a link. His initial reaction was a mix of irritation and amusement. He hadn't sought public attention and certainly didn't want the focus of his life to be an airport spat. But after watching the video, he realized it was an opportunity to reinforce a point he held dear. That evening, he posted a brief statement on his social media accounts. The incident at JFK was a reminder of how important it is to treat everyone with respect, regardless of appearances or assumptions. Every person deserves dignity. Let's strive to be better, not just for others, but for ourselves. The post garnered millions of likes and shares, with responses ranging from heartfelt praise to philosophical discussions about kindness and equality. For Barron, it wasn't about the numbers. It was about using his platform, however reluctantly, to spark meaningful dialogue. The conference ended on a high note, with a keynote speech from a Nobel laureate who emphasized the need for interdisciplinary collaboration in solving global crises. Barron returned to New York with a renewed sense of purpose and a notebook filled with ideas to explore further. But more importantly, he carried with him the affirmation that his work mattered, not just in the abstract sense, but in the tangible impact it could have on the world. As for the woman at the airport, the viral video had reached her too. Watching it was a humbling experience, forcing her to confront not just her behavior, but the biases that had fueled it. In the days that followed, she reflected deeply on the incident, resolving to approach people with more kindness and less judgment. She even reached out to Barron through a heartfelt letter of apology, which he received weeks later. Though he didn't respond directly, he appreciated the gesture, seeing it as a small but meaningful step toward personal growth. Life continued for Barron, filled with projects, travel, and the occasional media attention. Yet the airport incident remained a footnote in his journey, a simple yet powerful reminder that moments of confrontation could also be opportunities for change, both for oneself and others. And in the ever-evolving world of technology and humanity, those opportunities were perhaps the most valuable resource of all. Barron Trump's life in the weeks following the conference unfolded with quiet intensity. The ideas he had sketched out in his notebook during the event blossomed into concrete plans, fueling late nights at his desk. His apartment in Manhattan, minimalist and functional, often echoed with the soft hum of his computer and the rustle of papers. Here, away from public scrutiny, he immersed himself in the technical details of a new initiative, a software platform designed to streamline the integration of renewable energy systems in urban settings. This project, conceived during a breakout session at the conference, aimed to address a significant challenge faced by cities transitioning to clean energy: inefficiencies in grid connectivity. Barron had collaborated with researchers and software engineers, spending hours refining algorithms that could predict energy demand while minimizing waste. The concept was bold, but it reflected Barron's belief in technology as a unifying force, a tool that could bring together fragmented systems for the greater good. As his team prepared for a preliminary demonstration, Barron's focus was razor-sharp. He didn't seek perfection for its own sake, but rather for the potential impact his work could have on millions of lives. A critical part of the platform involved machine learning models that adapted to changing weather patterns and consumption behaviors, creating a system that was not only efficient but also resilient. Meanwhile, his father, Donald Trump, had taken note of Barron's growing independence. Though their paths were distinctly different, Donald's rooted in politics and business, Barron's in technology and innovation, they shared a mutual respect for each other's ambitions. During a rare family dinner at Mar-a-Lago, Donald asked Barron about his latest project. It was a moment of connection, their conversation marked by genuine curiosity rather than expectation. Ivanka and Melania, who were also present, listened intently as Barron described the platform in detail, his passion evident in every word. Back in New York, the woman from the airport continued to reflect on her encounter with Barron. The experience had left her humbled, but it also sparked a broader awakening. She began volunteering at a community center, working with individuals from diverse backgrounds. It was her way of atoning for the assumptions she had made and learning to see people beyond superficial impressions. Though she didn't expect her actions to erase the past, they were steps toward becoming the person she aspired to be. For Barron, the airport incident remained a distant memory, occasionally surfacing when he scrolled through his social media feeds. Yet its legacy endured in small but significant ways. Every so often, he would receive messages from strangers who had been inspired by his response, young people navigating their own battles against prejudice, or adults revisiting the importance of respect and kindness. The launch of Barron's platform was met with cautious optimism from industry insiders who recognized its potential to revolutionize energy management. At the unveiling event, held at a sleek conference hall in Chelsea, Barron took the stage to deliver a short speech. His words were measured, his demeanor calm, but the underlying conviction was unmistakable. Technology isn't just about innovation. It's about connection, he told the audience. It's about using the tools we create to build bridges, not walls, to empower communities rather than divide them. This platform is one step toward a future where we all share in the benefits of progress, regardless of where we come from or what we look like. The applause that followed was warm and genuine, but Barron didn't linger in the glow of recognition. Instead, he returned to his team, rolling up his sleeves to address the inevitable challenges that would come with scaling the project. His vision wasn't bound by accolades. It was driven by the impact he hoped to achieve. In the months that followed, Barron's platform gained traction, drawing interest from city planners and environmental organizations. It was a promising start, but Barron knew it was just the beginning. There were more problems to solve, more boundaries to push, and more opportunities to ensure that technology served its ultimate purpose, improving lives and bringing people together. As Barron's work gained recognition, he continued to embrace the quiet path of progress, focused more on tangible outcomes than public acclaim. The momentum behind his platform grew, and he became increasingly sought after for his expertise in sustainable tech, though he remained grounded, always preferring to let his work speak for itself. He forged partnerships with universities, collaborated with global energy leaders, and mentored young innovators, offering guidance based on his unique perspective. With every step, Barron was carving out a legacy of his own, not defined by his last name, but by his vision for a better, more connected world. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on the woman's refusal to let Barron Trump board first class? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching and see you next time.